What's going on, traders? Few things to talk about. We're gonna get straight into it. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So right now we're looking at the NASDAQ daily time frame, and something we've been talking about for quite some time is how at some point in time we are going to have to retest these depth crosses that we're seeing across the market, whether it's the NQ, ES, SPY, triple Qs. At some point in time we're going to have to retest this area, whether it's the 50 SMA or the 200 MA, it doesn't necessarily matter. We're going to have to either retest one or the other or both. And so far, that's exactly what's happening. Now, we did not yet retest the 200 MA at around 20,300, and we talked about this zone between 19,800 and 20,300, and I was pretty much letting you guys know that you want to be careful within this area. Now, can we pump higher? Absolutely, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but you definitely want to be careful between here, 19,800 and 20,300, right? And so if we go to the weekly time frame here, and let's say we entertain the thought of us pumping much higher than that, if we are looking at the weekly, we see that we're right at the 50 SMA for the weekly time frame. We talked about this multiple times. Anytime, or at least majority of the time, you created some type of low. So let's go back to 2022. When you created your first low, you ended up retesting the 50 MA on the weekly time frame before breaking back down towards the downside until you eventually hit the 200 MA, right? And you can see this happening multiple times. Here you went straight for the 200 MA, but eventually you have to retest the 50 MA, right? And so here you broke down, right? You created a low, and then you ended up retesting the 50 MA, and then you made yet another low. And what do I tell you guys all the time? Historically, the first low in the market is not the last low. Eventually, or usually you get some type of second low, third low, fourth low, whatever the case may be, right? And so I do think that's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And one thing I told Discord members, or at least I pretty much let the Discord know, is that I think sometime next week, at least the start of next week, is when we're going to start topping out, at least for the short term. Right now, hear me out, because I know a lot of you are like, no, we're heading to all-time highs. Let's really think about it. Let's really talk about it, right? So if we're looking at the NASDAQ weekly time frame, I told you guys that there is potential for us to head much higher, right? If we just so happen to get above the 50 SMA at around 20,300, we can head as high as this double top neckline. You got your top here, and then your neckline is all the way at 20,700. Now, let's get rid of this so you guys can get a much clearer view on what I'm talking about here, right? And so if you manage to get above the 50 weekly on the NASDAQ, and so far you're seeing some turbulence, right? You saw a slow down, and I alerted Discord members like, hey, we're kind of slowing down here. I imagine we're going to start slowing down here around the 50 weekly SMA. And then we'll have to see what happens from there. Either we break higher or we start rejecting from here. But if we do break higher, I imagine we're just going to simply retest this double top neckline, top here, and then your neckline is here. And not only that, but you see this evening star pattern here, right? All the way here. So I imagine if we are going to pump higher, and that's an if, a big if we are going to pump higher, this is where we're going to go before we head back towards the downside. Now, something else I want you guys to pay attention to here, right? You don't see any bulls up here, right? You don't see any bulls up here. This one bullish candle is all you're getting right here. So I do imagine if we pump higher, if we start heading towards this double top neckline, these bears are going to step in. These psycho demonic polar bears, crack cocaine bears, these guys are going to step in, right? So I would pay attention if we do get up here. Again, that's a big if we do get up here, I would definitely pay attention to news. I would pay attention to tariff news. I would pay attention to port news. Whatever the case may be, definitely want to pay attention if we get up here. Now, bears can easily step in right here. We have a few bearish wicks in this area as well. What's also important to note here is not only do you have this double top neckline that you could potentially retest, but you can retest the bottom of this rising wedge before heading back towards the downside, right? So I do think the top is near for the short term, all right? We have this rising wedge pattern. The measured move for this rising wedge pattern, crazy enough, is all the way at 15,800. Now, do I think we're heading to 15,800? Very much possible. That's where the 200 MA is. And again, historically, when you create a low, most times you do end up testing the 200 MA, and we have yet to do that. So I do imagine that's going to be the case, and if that's not the case, then we create some type of double bottom. But let's say I am wrong, right? Because it's very much possible that I'm wrong. I'm okay with that, right? If at minimum, right, at minimum we could just head towards this gap fill at 18,500. I think that's very reasonable. I think no one can really argue that. It's very much possible that we retest this gap fill at 18,500. It's very rare, like very, very rare. I've been trading for 12 years, right? Extremely rare for the futures to leave a gap open for so long. Okay, so I do imagine, if I'm wrong about a new low or even a double bottom, that we just head back down here, right? We head back down here, create a higher low, and then boom, we start heading higher from there. Okay, so those are my thoughts when it comes to the NQ. Again, because some of you are saying like I have a bearish bias, and just completely ignore the idea that I'm talking about a bullish scenario on almost every video, right? I even gave you guys targets on the SPY and triple Qs for upside, and even the NQ and ES, right? And so again, if we're talking about a bullish scenario and we're talking about heading higher, we can head as high as 20,300. Max I'm looking at, if we're being optimistic, is 20,700 before rejecting all over again. Bears are extremely present here. You have this double top neckline. You have this evening star pattern. The stars are aligning. Now, right now, which is crazy, right now we are at this double bottom neckline, and this is what we're currently rejecting. So not only are we rejecting the 50 MA on the weekly time frame, right, we're rejecting this double bottom neckline. So you got your bottom here, and I talked about this in multiple videos as well. You got your bottom here, your bottom here, and this is what NQ is having a hard time getting past, right? And it's not, I'm not saying it's impossible for it to happen. You very well can get above this, right? But you definitely want to pay attention to how the NQ reacts here, right? And that's where I originally had the supply and demand zone, right? From about what, 19,800 all the way as high as about 20,300. So this is what you want to pay attention to as well, this double bottom neckline. We're pretty much at Liberation Day levels. Okay, so want to make that clear. Hopefully this all makes sense. I know it's pretty fast, but let's move on. ES, pretty much the same thing with ES when it comes to the double top neckline. However, you do have a lot more space when it comes to the ES, and you could be looking at a move as high as 5,800, right? And again, when you're looking at the ES, if you look to the left, you have a double bottom neckline, and that is what you have rejected so far. So here, you retested this double bottom neckline, so your bottom is here, your bottom is here, you retested, and you ended up rejecting, and you have yet to hit the 50 MA. What's also important to note here, I tell you guys to pay attention to candles, pay attention to wicks all the time. What's also important to note here is that there's a lot of bearish wicks in this area, right? A lot of bearish wicks. So I don't just say things without giving you guys some type of evidence, right? When it comes to TA, right? I may not be great when it comes to news or anything, but I can list 10 reasons to be bearish versus being bullish, right? And by all means, enjoy the upside, right? Trade the upside. We have Discord members trading the upside, right? I did meta calls for their earnings, made a decent amount of money off their earnings play. So yeah, by all means, trade the upside if opportunity provides. But what I'm saying is that you want to be careful, right? You have these bearish wicks here, huge bearish wick here. You so far are rejecting this double bottom neckline on the ES. So you guys know I'm not making this stuff up. You clear as they are rejecting this. What I will say is that you have yet to hit the 50 MA on the weekly. And it doesn't have to happen, but I would expect that to happen. And if you do just so happen to head higher for whatever reason, right, you can easily just retest the double top neckline up here at around 5,800. So you have your top here, and then your another top here, right? And then your neckline will be at 5,800. So there is a scenario where you definitely can head higher, right? I'm not taking that away. What I'm saying is that once you get within this range, guys, between 50, what is it, 5,700, 50, actually 5,650, 5,800, be careful. Okay, be careful. That's all I'm saying. All right. So if we're talking about downside, right, and I'm giving you guys a target on how low we can go. I am looking at 4750. Okay, 4750, 4700. Okay, if we're looking to create a new low. So that's what I'm looking at for the ES. Again, very much possible we see more upside. Point being, be very careful when you do see that upside. SPY, pretty much the same thing as the ES, right? You're looking at the same scenario here, okay? You are rejecting, let's get rid of all this. I'll just give you guys the levels as we go. All right, so you are rejecting right here. These guys in this area right here, this is where you're rejecting. If you zoom in, you have bearish wicks all in this area. Bears are extremely present. Where do you see bullish candles in this area? Bear, 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 bear. somebody's 12-year-old kid. Bear. You're seeing nothing but bears in this area, okay? Very much possible that we start rejecting from here. Very much possible, guys. Be careful. You are very close to the 50 MA as well, and we're on a weekly time frame, okay? So I'm not saying you can't head higher, but these bears right here, they're foaming at the mouth. They're drooling. They're ready. Okay, they are ready. They're telling you to come outside. Come outside. They're not going to hurt you. Okay, that's what they're saying. They're not going to jump you. All right, don't worry. That's what they're telling you. And you're about to take your butt outside, and you're about to lose a leg and an arm and your belly button. I don't know. But regardless, you're going to, like, you got to be careful up here. That's all I'm saying, guys. Do what you want with this information. Your key levels here when it comes to the SPY. All right, 555. We talked about this in the last video, I think. 555. You stay above 555, you are heading towards 560. It goes without saying. Let's actually go to the 4-hour time frame here. If you manage to get above 566 on the SPY and hold, then obviously you're heading towards 570. Okay, so 570 is your next key level. From there, it gets really, really scary, because if you're talking about 570, you're talking about a move towards the 200 MA, and you can get a little bit higher, but ultimately you are looking at the 200 MA before possibly rejecting. You are so far rejecting this key level at around 565, 566. If you get below 555, then you open up the floodgates towards 550. You manage to get below 548 on the SPY, so right, where is it? Right about here where these guys are. So 440, what am I saying? 547, 548. I'm thinking about the triple Q, sorry. Then you are breaking completely down at that point. All right, you are breaking down, and I will bet money that you're heading towards this gap fill. Okay, but obviously respect your levels prior to that. 547, 545, 540. So on and so forth, right? As far as upside goes, I think upside is pretty limited. You can head as high as 570 minimum. If we're talking about a max, right, an absolute max, you're looking at about 575, 577 before seeing downside. Triple Qs, I do not like that. That's definitely a reversal pattern. So yeah. Or maybe I do like that. I don't know. But regardless, triple Qs, you are forming a reversal pattern on the daily time frame. You zoom out, all right? You zoom out, you see this massive rising wedge pattern. What did I tell you guys? If triple Qs manages to get above 468 and hold, you can head as high as 490. And we got, did we hit it? I think we got really, really close to 490, right? But keep in mind, 490 is exactly where the 200 MA is, okay? Now, can you head higher? Absolutely. If we go to the weekly time frame here, and as for some reason the market does decide to head higher, and let's say we get above the 50 MA, again, you have your double top neckline here, okay? Top here, and then you get it, another top here. Okay, I'm not going to keep drawing that. And then you have your evening star, like we talked about on the NASDAQ. Okay, so if we do pump higher, highest we can be looking at is between 499, well, we'll just say 500 psych level before possibly rejecting. Now, if you need more proof that I believe we're going to drop pretty hard, right, then you can look at this retest of the bottom of this rising wedge. So not only is 499 resistance, but this rising wedge will act as resistance. You have this double top neckline. You have this evening star resistance here as well. You have nothing but bears in this area. Again, bears, somebody's random dog, bears, all in this area, okay? All in this area. Bulls are not existent here. I said this in the Discord. Bulls do not exist in this area. So you want to be careful. It doesn't mean they can't get squeezed, right? Very possible they can get squeezed, right? But you don't, you're going to do what you want. But me personally, I wouldn't want to take that risk within this area between 490 and 499. That's just me. Do what you want with this information. All right. And so we look at the VIX. So when it comes to the VIX, right, today in the Discord, actually, so you guys know, I'm not some perma bear, right? I'm going to give you guys the bullish side here, right here, boom. Discord bot alerted to us that someone or an institution, multiple institutions, whatever the case may be, got into VIX puts with a strike of 21, June 18th, 2025. Total premium is 1.11 million. This is a good sign for bulls, okay? This is a great sign for bulls. What I will say is this, like I said before, I don't think we're heading to all-time highs just yet. I'm going to stand by that, okay? Like it or not, I'm going to stand by that. Now, when it comes to the VIX, if you think, listen, if you think we're going to head towards all-time highs and we're just going to pump and pump and pump for the rest of the year without filling none of these gaps to the upside on the VIX, just don't be surprised you wake up at a piñata party, you're the piñata, and they're not hitting you with piñatas. I mean, they're not hitting you with poles. They're hitting you with something else. I'm gonna let your imagination run wild with that. But regardless, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're ready to hit all-time highs. Can we pump higher? Absolutely. If we're considering what the Discord bot just alerted to us, these 21 puts, right, for June 18th, right, very much possible, right? And then if we go to the 4-hour time frame, there is a gap all the way at around 22. So very much possible. But again, you have multiple gaps to the upside, right? You have a gap all the way at 34. You have a gap all the way at 37. You go back in time, I don't think there was one time, if any, that the VIX has left a gap open. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I couldn't find one time where the VIX actually left a gap open. If they did, feel free to comment below. But I guarantee you're counting at least 5. If anything, less than 5, right? So that's what I'm looking at for the VIX. Very much possible you feel this gap at 22 if we're considering what institutions are doing. Lowest you could possibly go is maybe 18, all the way down here. There's another gap down here at about 18, right? But ultimately, at some point in time, guys, these gaps to the upside are going to get filled. So do not count on the idea of all-time highs just yet. All right, so that's what I'm looking at for the VIX. I actually want to look at Apple real quick because I don't know what they did for their earnings. But in regards to Apple, right? Yeah, so Apple is somewhat tanking for his earnings. 208 was your key level here for Apple. What is going on here? 208 is your key level for Apple. Like I said, I've said this multiple times before, guys. These guys right here, clear as day. Okay, not only that, but man, the 50 just went super, like, just chased the crap out of the 300. So yeah, these guys right here, Apple just cannot break past them. It tried multiple times today. We saw it try to do it. But again, like I showed you guys on NVIDIA, I showed you guys here, very, very hard. When you have random bearish candles like this in the middle of Narnia, look how hard it is to get past these guys. Right? These guys are drinking Capri Suns on the beach in Dubai somewhere. Okay, they're chilling. They're not worried about a thing. Just like these guys here. So I'm not saying we can't break past this, right? It's just very, very hard, and it's just not worth getting calls against. That's just my opinion. Do what you want. But as far as Apple go, apparently they beat earnings. Yay, I guess. I don't know how they keep doing this, but they beat earnings. That's cool and everything. And of course, they did a share buyback. They're always doing that crap every earnings. Same thing every freaking quarter. But regardless, in regards to Apple, if they cannot get above these guys, at some point in time, we're going to need to gather liquidity back towards the downside. And I'm imagining we're heading back to 200 in order to do that. Because if bulls continue to fail to break above this right here, they're going to give up. They're going to give up. They're going to realize, okay, we need to gather more liquidity and then possibly start filling gaps to the downside, maybe 200, and then they're going to probably try again. Okay, seen it happen multiple times. Anytime you can't break a key level, eventually one side or the other is going to have to give up. And then when they give up, they gather liquidity and they try again. And if they keep failing over and over, then eventually you see some major drop or major pump, depending on what direction you're looking at. So that's what I'm looking at for Apple. 213 is your key level. Well, actually, it's 215. 215 is your key level in order to fill this gap at 220. But from there, I mean, I don't see much else left. That's just me. Do what you want. I want to check Reddit because, yeah, we're looking good on Reddit. Okay, because some of us did 130 calls in Reddit. So yeah, for earnings. But yeah, I mean, like I said, guys, upside is very much possible. I'm not ruling out that idea. It's still possible that we see a little bit more upside, but it's getting scary. Okay, it's getting scary. Maybe I'm wrong, but replay the video if you need to. I showed you multiple times, and I've done this before. Remember when I told you guys about Jerome Powell selling off the market when he first originally sold off the market, and how bears were, I don't even know where that was, how bears were just, I think it was here actually. Maybe it was here. What was this, 2024? No, that's definitely not it. But regardless, remember I was talking about how Jerome Powell continued to sell off the market, right? Bears were extremely present in that area. We're looking at the same scenario here, guys. The same exact scenario. We are at Liberation Day gap level. You know what I'm saying, right? So you definitely want to be careful. All right. Definitely want to be careful. I'm seeing a lot of people starting to hedge. I'm seeing a lot of people start to add to their positions as far as puts go. It's not a bad idea. I'm just saying it's not a bad idea. If you want to hedge, by all means, it's not a bad idea. Again, highest we can go is about 499 on the triple Qs. I don't know for sure if that's going to happen, but what I will say is that I think the top is near for the short term. I said this in the Discord. I think it's going to start next week, maybe tomorrow, who knows? But I think we're very close to seeing that drop that I was talking about. And if I'm wrong about a new low, at minimum, I think we're going to fill those gaps on the futures towards the downside. So that's my thoughts. As far as the Discord goes, I mean, I'm just loving, I'm just loving our members, man. I'm really truly loving these guys. This guy right here talks to me every single day, man. Guy is a monster. Made 3K off of Apple calls. I think he closed it right before. Yeah, he closed it right before earnings. So yeah, congratulations to you. MSTR, she made $1,620. I mean, absolutely insane. This guy right here again just made what, like 5K today. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely beautiful. This guy right here, he made $340 off SPY calls. This guy right here, he made $4,967 this week, right? So beautiful week for this guy as well. He's always killing it. He made $1,120 as well. And then there's a play of mine. I made $2,550 off meta calls, played it for earnings. But yeah, beautiful day. Beautiful day for a lot of Discord members. If you want to join the Discord, I do plan on raising the price because summer is near. I don't want a bunch of high schoolers and college kids that got out of school joining my Discord. Simply because I just want financially stable people in my Discord. A lot of you join and then like 2 days later you're like, it's too expensive. Why in the world did you pay? Right? And so please do not join if you are not financially stable. I get it. Times are hard. Inflation, all that stuff. Eggs are through the roof. I get it. It's not a jab. It's not me judging you. I just want you to focus on priorities in your life, right? Trading should not be a priority if you are not financially stable, right? You should not be risking your rent money on this stuff, okay? Not only that, but it doesn't make sense to join a Discord, pay $40 a month or however many dollars a month, and then complain about how expensive it is, but you're putting hundreds and thousands of dollars in the market every single year and you don't complain about how expensive that is. Literally makes no sense. That is why I don't give free trials, because that does not make sense. People ask me all the time, why don't you give free trials? Because why would I give a free trial for a $40 a month Discord and you're willing to put $300 on an Apple call and risk losing that whole $300, if not half of it? Doesn't make sense. All right. So no, I would never give a free trial. I don't believe in free trials. It don't make sense when you're risking thousands upon thousands upon thousands, your paychecks all the time on the overall market. Okay. So if you want to be part of a community, if you don't want to get babysat and all that, if you're an actual grown adult that can have conversations, that can speak and all that fun stuff, and just want to be part of a community where we agree on trading together, where we make trades together, this is the Discord for you. My job as the Discord host is to make your job easier when it comes to trading, okay? Whether it's me alerting what institutions are doing, whether it's me giving out trade ideas, whether it's this YouTube video, that is my job as a Discord host. And that is why I can go a day without alerting a trade, but I can alert what institutions are doing, and Discord members will still be, some Discord members will still be grateful just for that, right? So here is the members trades tab where everybody talks about trades. We all agree on, random trades we want to get in, whether it's earnings, whether we want to just go crazy on earnings, whether we just want to get into regular trades, right? We win together, we lose together, all right? So it's the name of the game. You're not going to win every single trade. So if you want to be a part of that community, I don't believe anyone should be trading by themselves. I think that's just horrible unless you're like a super vet, like you're 60 years old and you're done. Okay. But I think everyone, especially if you're young, should trade with a community. It doesn't have to be with my Discord. It could be with anyone, right? It could be your mom, your dad, whatever. Okay. Before Discord was even a thing, I was only trading with my mom. Simple as that. So just want to make that clear. Join the Discord if you are interested in being a part of a community. If you're interested in laughing, having fun, we joke. I get trolled all the time in here. I talk crap all the time to members in here, but we laugh about it and then we make money in the process, right? So it's funny. A lot of you say I'm sensitive on my channel when I get roasted in here all the time. So, and I talk crap back. So it is what it is. But ultimately, Discord link is in the description below, guys. Be careful heading into the next few weeks. I still stand by what I say, and until the next video, traders, have a good one.